Welcome to Odds.com's continuing March Madness NCAA basketball coverage with our expert, Maxwell Smart. It is time for the East region. We have now in-depthly broken down 24 games. We have 8 games left. Max, I haven't seen you in about 5 hours. I'm always interested in how you spend your afternoons. What did you get up to today?
Jim, it was actually a particularly heart-gripping type afternoon. I started my afternoon off with some YouTube rabbit hole of dogs reuniting with soldiers returning from home. It was definitely tear-jerking. And I followed that up with another rabbit hole on YouTube, Rap City, The Basement Freestyles. And, of course, the one that stuck out to me was Trina when she talks about being a girl that needs to be dropped off on South Beach with 20 grand, and she's not the cooking, house cleaning type. And, of course, with my personality, that's the type of woman that just makes my heart melt. So it's been emotional, but I'm ready to go. I'm ready to hit the East region. The East is the beast. And we got some special blood clot teams that we're going to talk about. And yes, I just said what I said.
What a roller coaster ride from dogs reuniting with soldiers to Trina to the East region of March Madness. Let's get right to work. We have play-in games. We open with play-in games. We start Thursday, March 18th, 5:10 p.m. Eastern. Just under 48 hours from now. Number 16 seed Texas Southern Tigers 16-8 versus number 16 seed Mount St. Mary's Mountaineers 12-10. We're in Bloomington, Indiana for this. Opened up with Texas Southern as 1.5-point favorites. There is now a pick'em at most books. Now, the leading indicator books still have Southern as a 1-point favorite, but money moving towards the Mountaineers. We'll start with Texas Southern. Finished off the season winning 9 straight and 14-15. Dominated Alcorn State 78-55 in the SWAC quarters. Squeaked by Jackson State in the semis 84-81 before dominating top seed Prairie View 80-61 in the SWAC final. In the final, Carl Nicholas went for 16 points, 12 rebounds to lead 5 Tigers in double figures. On the season, the 6'9 junior was their third leading scorer, averaging 11.3 points, 7 boards. Senior guard Michael Weathers leads the team in scoring, averaging 16.5 points, 5.2 boards, 3.6 assists. John Walker III, the other Tiger, averaging double digits. The Tigers can be sloppy with the ball, turning it over 16 times a game. They score 74.8 points per game, hit 45% from the field, and 69.9% from the foul line. It's the perimeter where they struggle. No one on the team averages over 35%, and it's a team that hit just 27.6% from distance. Mount St. Mary's had planned on leaning on senior Jalen Gibbs to provide offense. When he left the team in December, they initially struggled, but then they stuck together behind the excellent play of 5'8" point guard Baltimore native junior Damian Chong-Kui and went all the way to winning the NEC Conference. In the final, they handed Bryant University their only home loss of the season, 73-68, as 6.5-point dogs. The diminutive Chong-Kui was excellent, scoring 21 points, adding 8 rebounds, 5 assists. He averaged 15.1 points, 4.2 boards, 5.5 assists on the season. Max shared a story about Chong-Kui that I'll let him tell if he'd like during the bracket announcement show that was moving. How do you not fall in love with him? 6'9" junior Malik Jefferson went for 10 points, 15 boards for his third straight double-double. He averages 8.4 points, 8.8 boards on the season. The other Mountaineer averaging double digits is 6'9" junior Nana Opoku, who averages 10.7 points, 7.6 boards. They scored just 64.3 points per game, but they're 15th in the nation, allowing 62.3 points per game. They struggle with their shot at times, hitting 42.6% from the field, 33.7 from 3, and 67.8 from the stripe. I can't wait for you to break down this game, and I want to bet it, but I have not moved on it until I hear what our expert Maxwell Smart has to say. Texas Southern, Mount St. Mary's, play-in game Thursday, and this is the opener, 5:10 p.m. of March Madness.
Jim, this is a game that I will be probably a little bit drunk on the Woodford for, and I'm going to be celebrating. March Madness will kick off with this wonderful mid-major play-in game that only mid-major aficionados can really appreciate. And I'll tell you this, Jim, when this team hasn't played teams in the SWAC conference, they haven't been able to get on the winning side. I think that obviously you take a major step down versus who they played when you look at BYU or Auburn, Oklahoma State, and then Washington State. But I just think that they're going to play a Mount team that is all about simplifying the offense. And with them, it's pick and roll. Damian Chong decides whether to drive, shoot, or pass. It is really that simple when you watch the tape. Listen, the Mount wants an uglier the better type style type game. There's rock fights and then there are just sludge. This is what I call a sludge game. That's what they want. Muck it up, limit those possessions, keep them under 45 to 50 shot attempts. And with Damian Chong, listen, as long as the game is close, he is always in a position to make a clutch shot. While most people will be like, well, frig, he's 5'8". Well, it must mean that the rest of this team is lacking size also. Well, that is not the goddamn case. This is a big team and a tough team to deal with on every other element, on every other side of the court. There isn't a guy that plays major minutes that isn't 6'4", 6'5", or taller. So, while Damian Chong is the smallest guy on the floor, he definitely is a definite vampire when it comes to sucking the blood out of your defense. I think that with Texas Southern, they've been extremely hot. They avenged their 2-game losing streak, their double revenge situation against Prairie View in the championship game. Really dominated, really showed the quality in their Division I transfer talent. You mentioned Michael Weathers. You mentioned John Walker. I'm going to talk about Galen Alexander and what he can do on the glass, what he can do as far as drawing fouls, and just being able to score from the high percentage close proximity ranges. I think that with him and Justin Hopkins is very good on-ball defender. He brings good size. He converts at the free throw line when he's there. I think that this is a guy that's going to make a difference. He's played in this system. He's a senior. This is his last go-round. He doesn't win this game, his career is over. Obviously, with some players getting that extra year because of COVID, it won't be the case, but a lot of guys are going to want to go professional, knowing what the circumstances of playing through a COVID year in the NCAA was. And with Texas Southern, it's not like they have a shit ton of money to make their players stay a little more glamorous. I think that when you look at Texas Southern, it's a real simple offense with them as well. They're a dribble drive, downhill type team. They are not going to change their scheme. They are just going to take it right at the size of Mezzi-Offram, of Opoku, of Jefferson. So it's going to be a real interesting matchup to see how the refs call the game. And with Texas Southern, they need balanced scoring. They need all their guys to be able to go to the rim like this. And they're just going to have to hope for finishes and for the refs to call fouls. Otherwise, you're going to see the Mount really control this game, really do a good job on the defensive glass. And I think that when you look at it, you need an outlier performance from the Mount, and I think that Mezzi-Offram's the guy to do it. We saw the mid-range game against Bryant. This is a similar type offense to what they've seen 4 or 5 times in conference, and when they play teams that play this type of pace and tempo and want to get up and down so much, we've seen them cover and cash 4 out of the last 5 games. So teams like Fairleigh Dickinson, teams like Bryan, teams like LIU. So I just think that this Mount team has to avoid foul trouble, be strong on the glass. And if this game goes over, I can understand that. I think that with the Mount, we've seen them go over around this number. We've seen Texas Southern play around this total as well. But they're 4-1 ATS versus downhill, high-tempo teams. I think that they're going to win this game. I think that they're going to be able to take the ball away from Texas Southern instead of the other way around. And I think that Texas Southern, who needs to get to the foul line, is going to have a little difficult time doing that. I think that they obviously need to get off to a good first half. That's been definitely part of the blueprint in this winning streak, which I think is like 8 or 9 games now. But both teams are very good second half teams. It's gonna be hard to tell until we see them play who's gonna make the better second half adjustments. But I think that as long as Mount can cut down on turnovers in a limited possession game and play better than Texas Southern, who's more comfortable on these neutral court environments, I think that the class and difference in conference is going to make a difference. I think that when you look at the Mount, obviously Mezzi Offram is a very important piece. Don't shoot the three. Use that 6'8" frame and your jumping ability to get that mid-range jumper. Convert at the free throw line. And I think that the other guy that you really want to see a big performance out of is DeAndre Thomas off the bench. This is a kid that definitely has a lot of three-level scoring ability, a guy that can give you that outlier 14 to 15, 17-point performance. I don't even know. I'm just throwing out a number there. But this is the kind of guy that has the strength, has the mid-range game, has the extended arc game. This is a perfect time for him to have a coming out party, biggest game of the year. I'm going with the Mount. I think that defense wins out in tournaments, and I'm taking the better defensive team. I'm taking the team that plays good against what Texas Southern is bringing in, and I think that the Mount size is going to be the difference.
We have just a plus 100 available here. Is that what you want? I mean, would you rather have a plus 1 and minus 110?
No, I'll take the plus 1. I'll take the plus 100. Yeah.
Plus 100 is the best we can get at FoxBet. Did you want to share one more time for those of the cappers that didn't see our show, our bracket announcement show, just that very quick story on Damian Chong, quick?
Yeah, listen, Damian Chong, his dad believed took a stray bullet, lost the use of his legs, and this is the kind of kid that has the kind of character that would stand up, take care of his family, doesn't matter how old he was, and he showed it, at 16 years old, he became the man of the house, and what made matters worse and more difficult, showed the character and the strength and the resilience and the love for his family that he had. They lost their apartment that was, I believe, on the ground level floor, had to move to a third floor apartment, and Damian would carry his dad up and down the stairs every day as needed. And that kind of dedication and love for your father when you aren't in the best financial circumstances is just the kind of guy that you want to be putting your money on. That's the kind of guy that's going to give you an effort from minute 1 to minute 40. And it's just inspiring to hear stories like that of kids having to be adults when really it should be more about them and their development. So it's definitely a touching story. It definitely makes it more enjoyable to back the Mount in this situation, in this game, on this stage and platform.
Mount St. Mary's plus 100 at FoxBet for Maxwell Smart, and that's just it's a real moving story. Thank you for sharing that with our audience. We move on to the next East Region play-in game. The other two play-in games we capped on our very first show. So this is the next East Region play-in game, and it's the biggest one of the four. Number 11 seed UCLA Bruins, 17-9 versus number 11 seed Michigan State Spartans, 15-12. We're at Mackey Arena in West Lafayette, Indiana. Michigan State opening up as 1-point favorites. That is now 2. This total opened up at 138, and it's dropped all the way down to 135.5. UCLA closed their season ugly fashion, losing 4 straight games, culminating in an 83-79 loss to Oregon State in the Pac-12 quarters. That was an overtime loss. UCLA had 6 players average double digits during the season, but lost one of them. Second leading scorer, 6'9" senior Chris Smith, to a season-ending knee injury after just 8 games. They're led in scoring by 6'6" sophomore Tarzana, California native Johnny Juzang, who averages 14 points, 4.1 boards. 5'11" point guard Tiger Campbell averages 10.5 points, 5.6 assists. He runs the show. The other Bruins averaging double digits are Jamie Jacquez Jr., Jules Bernard, and Cody Riley. The Bruins score 72.8 points per game, hit 46.2% from the field, 36.7 from 3, and 72.1 from the foul line. Michigan State turned their season around late. In late February, they won 5 of 7 games to close out the regular season. During that stretch, they defeated then number 5 Illinois, then number 4 Ohio State, and number 2 Michigan. So they had high hopes when they went into the Big Ten tournament. And we unfortunately backed them, only to watch them lose immediately in the second round, 68-57 to Maryland. They turned the ball over 18 times in the loss. They were just 4 of 16 from 3. They have just one player averaging double digits, and Aaron Henry, who averages 15.3 points, 5.7 boards, 3.5 assists. Joey Hauser, Joshua Langford are second and third in scoring, averaging 9.7 and 9.6 points respectively. Michigan State scores 69 points per game, often struggles with their shot. They hit 42.4 from the field, 32% from 3, and 72.1% from the line. Very interesting spot. Can't wait to watch you break this down, Max. UCLA, Michigan State playing game Thursday night.
Yeah, Jim, I think that with this UCLA game, it's a real ugly spot. It is a game that I don't even think that should be goddamn taking place. I don't know what the committee was thinking when they put this UCLA team in. They don't deserve to be there. Simply put. I don't like them. If I could punch somebody in the face from them, I would. I'd get on a freaking stool and I'd punch them in the face.
Right.
But with UCLA, listen, injuries really freaking stopped the progress that this team was making. They're on a 4 or 5 game losing streak. They're getting Johnny Juzang back, yes, but I'm not impressed by him. He's been playing well against Pac-12 teams. Now he's got to go up against the strength, defense, and versatility of a Big Ten school. I think that with this UCLA team, without having Chris Smith and Jalen Hill, they have a very soft interior defense. Cody Riley definitely is a piece, but he can't do it all on his own. And I think that with Tiger Campbell, there's a reason why they wanted to bring Nix in and play the point guard, because with Tiger, he definitely has to make better decisions in the pick and roll. He's definitely struggles with length when he's being defended by a guy that's 6'3" or 6'4". And I just don't know if this defense is going to be able to find in their pack line form an answer for Aaron Henry. On the other side, listen, Michigan State is one of the most inconsistent offenses I've ever seen wearing that jersey. Obviously, they switch a lot on defense, but the problem with that is they're fouling a little too much. They're going to have to use their length to really bottle up the guards like Jacquez and Jules Bernard for UCLA. I think that with Aaron Henry, if he doesn't have a good offensive game, Michigan State's losing. So that's why it's hard for me to bet on this side. I think that with Michigan State, they need to find a lineup that works against UCLA early. And with Jules Bernard, this is a guy that's been coming on as of late. His 3-point shot's been good. He's been able to really draw a bunch of fouls and get to the line. And his effective field goal percentage is 54%. So I think that's definitely a plus. And with Jacquez, this is a guy that last year when UCLA won games, he was a major contributor, whether it be on the offensive glass, whether it be taking care of the basketball, whether it be getting to the free throw line, whether it be his 3-point shot, So I think that with UCLA, they are well coached. I just think that they're in a bad matchup versus a Michigan State team that, by my projection, should win this game. I think that with Michigan State, the problem is they just need to be dominant defensively to cover up their inconsistent offense. And the 3-point defense is definitely going to be key. How many field goal attempts can they hold UCLA to? Because if they can hold them to a pace and tempo that suits them, maybe they don't need to score 65 points. But that's what we're talking about, a Michigan State team that I'm worried about being able to get to 65. I think that they can and should crush on the offensive glass. They should be able to limit their turnovers. But you got to be aware of UCLA and their fast starts and first halves. They have been falling apart late, but if you get down 20, I don't think you're coming back. So defense is going to be key. UCLA's 3-point defense and 3-point shooting and their field goal shooting has been good. So you're going to have to bring that 30% 3-point defense. You're going to have to bring that 40% field goal D. But it's just hard to lay points with Michigan State. So I'm going to just lean with Michigan State, Jim. I'm going to lean with the over. I think that it's a tournament game. You're going to see it be more tightly officiated. So you're probably going to see some more whistles get blown. And I'm counting on Michigan State being able to score points. If they score points, then they have a shot at freaking helping this game get over. I like and lean towards the over. I lean towards Michigan State, but I'm not going to take any chances with this matchup for my show record. No way.
Understandably so. Big question mark. Fun game. Max staying off of it. And if you're wondering, man, does this guy stay off a lot of plays? This guy's 500 official plays into this season, and we were only going 3 days a week. So don't question that. UCLA, Michigan State. I get it. Leans towards Michigan State, leans towards the over. And we move on to Saturday action here in the East region. Saturday, March 20th, we start at 12:15 p.m. Eastern. Oh, I can't wait for this game. Georgetown Hoyas, 13-12. Patrick Ewing's boys versus Colorado Buffaloes, 22-8. Hinkle Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana. Georgetown opens up as 5.5-point dogs. Now they're 5-point dogs. This total opened up at 138.5. Now it's at 137. Georgetown looked better heading into the Big East playoffs than they had during their 5-game losing streak in late December and early January. But no one thought that Patrick Ewing's team would rise up from the 8th seed in the Big East playoffs and run the table. But that's exactly what they did. Impressive wins over Marquette, Villanova, Seton Hall set them up for a date with Creighton in the Big East final. They were 8.5-point dogs and left as the Big East champion after a dominant 73-48 win. Senior Chudier Bile led the way with 19 points, 8 boards. He had scored 16 points in the previous 3 tournament games combined. On the season, he averaged 10.2 points, 5.1 boards, and that's down from his 14.3 points, 7.6 boards of last year. They're led by Javon Blair, who averages 15.8 points, 3.7 assists. Next up, 6'11" center, Nigerian center Wahab averages 12.4 points, 8 boards. Then comes Jamarco Pickett, who averages 12.3 points, 7.4 boards. Georgetown averages 71.4 points per game and can be sloppy. They average 15.3 turnovers a game, and 6 players average 2 or more, and a 7th averages 1.8 turnovers a game. They hit 42.4% from the field, 36.6 from 3, and 74.4 from the stripe. Here we go, another Pac-12 team, and Max despises the conference for good reason. Colorado had won 6 straight before losing 70-68 to Oregon State in the Pac-12 final as 8.5-point favorites. Colorado was picked to finish 7th in the preseason poll, despite the return of McKinley Wright, one of the best guards in college basketball. Behind Wright, 6'8", 262-pound big man Evan Batty. Colorado finished 3rd in the Pac-12, then down to the wire wins over California and number 23 USC in the conference tournament. McKinley Wright, the 4th, averaged 15.5 points, 4.3 boards, 5.6 assists. He can be trusted. Batty averaged 10.2 points, 5.4 boards. Jeremiah Horn averaged 11.4 points, 5.8 boards, hit 42.1 from 3. As a team, they score 73 points per game, and with the ball in McKinley Wright's hands, only turn it over 11.1 times a game. They hit 45.5% from the field, 36.7% from 3, and a very nice 82.2% from the line. Max, what do we do here? 12:15 p.m. Eastern, East Region, Georgetown, Colorado.
Yeah, listen, Jim, this is a tough matchup because on paper, Colorado should win this game. But if you're going by recent performance and who has the best field continuity and chemistry going on, you got to look at Georgetown. With Colorado in that motion offense, it obviously revolves around McKinley Wright. I think that with those 143 2-point field goals that he's scored so far in the year, how do you stop this guy in the mid-range? How do you keep him off the free throw line where he's an 83% free throw shooter? The guy's drawing 5 fouls a game and getting to the free throw line, you know? And if you think that you're going to be able to do something on offense to help him lose his cool and get a cheap foul on him, probably not going to happen. I think that when you look at this Colorado team, you know, they got very good size with Dallas Walton, and I think that Sean Schwartz and his versatility is definitely going to be key. But the bottom line is Colorado has to rebound the basketball. They have to push off those misses, and they got to get off to a quick start. If they get exploited into the man-to-man by the dribble drive and a lot of penetration, a lot of screens, well, I know a kid from Toronto, his name's Javon Blair. That's how he scores the basketball off those off-ball screens. So I think that it could be problematic for Colorado, especially going up against the quality of a Big East team. I think that with Colorado, with that man-to-man defense, they want to protect that vulnerability that they have at the rim. While they do have good size, the rim protection really just isn't there, in my opinion. I think that if they can force Georgetown to be a predominantly jump shooting team, then they can definitely win and cover this number. But with Georgetown, everywhere that they've been putting the basketball up, they've been scoring. They got great size. They have to be more efficient close to the rim. And Blair's got to be able to come off the bench and give you that six-man energetic, maybe 25-point effort. You need an outlier performance. You need that offensive rebounding to extend those possessions. Georgetown's been able to do a lot of that. But the reason why I'm going to take Georgetown in this game is because the defense is going to be the difference. I think that with the length, athleticism, the guys who can guard all spots, especially the lead guard positions, I think that's the most important thing. I think that Chudi Bio, while he did average 14 at Northwestern State, you are going up in quality and talent to the Big East. His performance, along with Dante Harris, and I would say actually more their emergence, has been definitely a defining moment for this team. Patrick Ewing has never won any awards from me when it comes to quality of coaching, but these players are making them look good, and they're making them look good on the defensive end with timely steals, good help defending blocks, good pass deflections, and dominating on the offensive glass. I think that Georgetown wins the first half, starts off with hot shooting, plays a good inside-out game plan, works it side to side to find that corner or wing three-point opportunity, and you want to exploit Colorado's three-point defense because that's the biggest weakness on defense for them. You got to win at the free throw line because Colorado's going to do a good job, in my opinion, of being able to limit your free throw appearances. So you got to definitely thwart their glass work with your size and avoid silly turnovers. If Georgetown plays to maybe to 75% of how they played in that championship game, they definitely could stay within the number and if not advance. So I'll take Georgetown first half on the money line, and then I'll take Georgetown on the spread full game, Jim.
Wow. Very, very exciting action. Well, let's get you started with Georgetown plus 5.5. It's available at BetMGM and Circa. The other books are at 5, either at minus 105 minus 110. Plus 5.5 at minus 110.
Yeah.
Get you started there from Circa. And now let's shop for a first half money line and see what we can give you. So let's see what is the best so far. Plus 180 is the best so far. Let's see if we can beat that. No, plus 180 right now from BetMGM. Can that be beat? Plus 185. Oh, sorry, this is first half. Shit, my fault. Focus. Come on, get in there. Okay, here we go. First half. Ooh, Circa not offering a money line. Let's get this here. My fault for keeping everybody. First half money line for Max. Plus 167 is what we're working with here. Can we beat 167? I expect that we'll be able to. Let's see. No, plus 155. And the final shot to beat plus 167 money line. No, that's the best so far. Plus 167 at Bet365.
Yeah, that's fine by me.
First half plus 167, Bet365. And man, did Max take these to the bank in the last round or in the conference tournament. See, first half money lines on dogs that he liked. So Georgetown Hoyas plus 5.5 minus 110 at Circa, and first half money line plus 167 at Bet365. What a great, exciting breakdown. We move on. 12:45 p.m. Eastern. UNC Greensboro Spartans 21-8 versus number 4 Florida State Seminoles. Tough matchup for Greensboro. Bankers Life Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana. Florida State opening up as 11-point favorites. That's moved to 10.5 at almost all the books. This total opened up at 145.5. There hasn't been much movement. You can get it at 145. You can still get it at 146 if you shop. UNC Greensboro has won 4 straight and 6 of 7 to close out the season, leading the way to their SoCon title. In the final, they defeated Mercer 69-61 to earn the school's 4th tournament berth. 2-time SoCon Player of the Year, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, Isaiah Miller scored 25 points, grabbed 12 rebounds, had 6 assists. The senior averaged 19.3 points, 6.9 boards, 4 assists on the season. He's the only Spartan to average double-digit points. Second leading scorer, Keyshawn Langley, averages 9.8 points, 3.4 assists. The Spartans score 73.6 points per game, only turn the ball over 11 times a game, but they struggle with their shot. They hit 42.4 from the field, 30% from 3, and 68.3 from the foul line. After exacting revenge on the Tar Heels in a 69-66 triumph in the semifinals of the ACC tournament, the Seminoles played very sloppy ball and gave the game away in the finals to Georgia Tech, 80-75 as 4.5-point favorites. They shot 56% from the field, 53.3% from 3. Should have been enough to win the game, but they lost due to 25 turnovers. Adding to that, Georgia Tech only turned the ball over 7 times. You're not going to win many games when your opposition has an 18 turnover advantage on you. MJ Walker leads the team, averaging 13 points per game, hitting 44.4% from 3. Raekwon Gary next, averaging 12 points per game, adding 6.5 boards. Scotty Barnes rounds out the group, averaging 11 points, 4.2 assists. This Florida State offense is very strong. They average 78.9 points per game, hit 47.4% from the field, a very impressive 39% from 3, and 73.8% from the stripe. Tricky spot here, Max, 12:45 p.m. Eastern, UNC Greensboro, Spartans, Florida State Seminoles.
Yeah, Jim, I think that the problem with Greensboro is that they never really played anything like what they're going to see in the non-conference. I think that when you look at this Florida State team, they got multiple 7-footers that can defend in the pick and roll. And what is Greensboro going to need to do? They're going to need that pick and roll. I think that Scotty Barnes, this is where you came to Florida State, for this stage, for this opportunity. You need to do more than the incredible work you've been doing on the offensive glass and on the defensive end when taking the ball away from guys. At 6'9", you're a point forward that's able to distribute the basketball, score the basketball inside, and use that size advantage that you're going to have against most defenders, whether it be your quickness or whether it be your height. I think that with Scotty Barnes, you need a standout performance from him. I think that when you look at this group, Anthony Polite, that's the guy that's got to go off from 3. He's probably your best 3-point shooter aside from MJ Walker. I like, obviously, Sardar Calhoun, the junior college transfer. He, at 6'6", definitely has some good size. And then our fellow Canadian, Tanner Nagome, the 7'2" Ryerson transfer, he's just been playing fantastic in his limited minutes, knocking in free throws, 68% from the field. I'm just so happy when I see Canadians playing basketball at the Division I level, and this is no exception. I think that from a talent, size, physicality perspective, it's going to be very hard for UNC Greensboro to combat that. Listen, they do have some good size in Abdul Salam and Hayden Koval, but the problem is they're just so reliant on transition scoring, on scoring off second chance opportunities. And I don't know if their press and their ability to take away the ball against Southern Conference competition is going to translate against Florida State. I think that when you looked at their most comparable non-conference game that they played was Winthrop, and they lost by 12 in that game. I think Florida State is head and shoulders better than Winthrop. But that's another conversation for another day. I think that when you look at UNC Greensboro on defense, the problem is when they're pressing, they do not recover into position if you break that press. And that's going to end up in a lot of buckets for Scotty Barnes breaking down the defense, going coast to coast, or making 1 to 2 passes, and that's going to end up with a layup at the rim. So it's not a good matchup for Greensboro, in my opinion. And then you throw in their weakness on the defensive glass. Florida State's going to be able to really find their mismatch, exploit it, and they just got to avoid the turnovers because the turnovers have been killing them, And with that extended pressure, they're going to have to definitely switch a lot and be able to recover. It's the same thing with Greensboro, but I have a lot more faith in Florida State being able to execute that system than what I've seen out of Greensboro. You got to get on Greensboro early. You got to be able to hit a couple 3-point shots. We have seen Florida State be able to do that. You got to own the defensive glass and that ball distribution. You got multiple ball handlers, multiple guys that can freaking find easy opportunities at the rim for your teammates. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think that when you look at Florida State, You know, they're only +5 by my numbers in the first half. So depending on the number, you know, maybe Greensboro you take in the first half, but I don't think that they hang around for 40 minutes. I think that with Florida State, that's the one knock that you can really look at their game logs and be like, yeah, well, fuck. Do you see how they play in second halves? You know, like playing 40 minutes sometimes is a challenge for them. But at the end of the day, Florida State is still the better defensive team. They are still the team that is going to be able to limit three-point shooting opportunities for this group in guys like A.J. McKennis and Antonio Algieri and even to an extent Keyshawn Langley, you know. But pack the paint, cut off lanes to drive the basketball, and win the turnover battle. And I think that you can cover this number. What's the number that you can get on the first half, Jim? And I will decide based off the number where I want to go with it.
All right, well, let's shop because I was just moving back to full game, and I thought, you know what, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should keep it first half. Here we go. We have a 6 at Bet365, minus 110 juice each way. Let's see here. Very quickly, here we go. And we have a 6 as well at BetMGM with Florida State at minus 105, NC Greensboro at minus 115. Then, does that entice you at all?
Yeah, listen, Jim, we're going to go with Greensboro +6 in the first half. If they're going to have any success in this game, we're going to know early, and we're going to go by the number, not by the teams, guys. So let's go by the number. The number says at 6, you take Greensboro, and that's what we're going to do.
All right, I'm just going to try a couple more books to see if I can get you any better than that here. Let's go.
It is worth noting, though, at this point in the video, guys, the filet mignon, the lobster and steak, the woman in the bikini with the manicured butt is serving you cocktails. Yeah, it's that type of the show. It's that time of the show, excuse me. It's those type of games. We got the heavy hitters coming up.
Yeah, boys. Absolutely beautiful stuff coming up without a doubt. Okay. +6 at minus 110. We can get you the minus 110. It's available at Circa and FanDuel. So let's lock you in. Wow. I was very curious to see what you would do on this. UNC Greensboro, first half +6 at minus 110. We roll on 1:45 p.m. Eastern, and this is Max has his 2 favorite teams on this card, and now we start with his second favorite team. St. Bonaventure Bonnie, 16-4 on the year versus number 8 seed LSU Tigers, 18-9. What a tough matchup. Bloomington, Indiana for this. We have LSU opening up as 1-point favorites. That's moved to 1.5. It's even moved to 2. At a couple of the books. Now that -2 is at a leading indicator book, but it's at +100. The total opened up at 144.5. No movement. St. Bonaventure comes in having won 6 of 7 on their way to the A-10 championship. In the final, they comfortably handled VCU 74-65. Guard Kyle Lofton was excellent. 23 points, 6 assists, 5 boards. He led the way all year, averaging 14.6 points, 5.5 assists, 6'10 big man Osuni, a man that Max talks about often, 14 points, 12 boards, 3 blocks. He was great. He averaged 10.5 points, 9.5 boards, 2.9 blocks on the season. All 5 starters averaged double digits for this deep Bonnie's squad. They're third in the nation, allowing just 60.4 points per game. They score 70.5 points per game. They only turn the ball over 11.1 times per game. They hit 44.9% from the field, 35.4 from 3, and 73.4 from the foul line. LSU had an excellent season. In the SEC tournament, they had impressive wins over Ole Miss and Arkansas to take them to the final, where they lost 80-79 to Alabama in an extremely memorable game. 20 minutes before game time, there was an altercation between the two teams. It was a passionate affair. LSU hadn't won this tournament since 1980. It was the Tigers' first time in the final since 93. LSU needs their 4 stars to all play well at the same time to get on a run in this tourney. And that's asking a lot. And if any of them get in foul trouble, if any of them get injured, what happens then? Star freshman Cameron Thomas averages 22.6 points per game. Trendon Wofford comes in fresh off a career-high 30 points in the SEC final. Average 16.7 points, 7.4 boards, 3.0 assists. Javonte Smart, 15.9 points, 4 assists. Darius Days, 11.7 points, 7.9 boards. And then no one else averages more than 4.2 points per game. They score 82.1 points per game, hit 46.3% from the field, 35% from three, and 74.6% from the line. Ooh-wee, Max. Your Bonnies in tough against the Tigers. Take it away.
Jim, if I was an American, I would sort of feel like this is a civil war. North versus South. Best versus worst. Good versus bad. And you know what? Those Bayou Tigers better go back to eating their freaking alligators and crocodiles, because you know what? Bonaventure is coming through. They're going through them, and it's going to be glorious. It's going to be salivating. It's going to be cupcake goddamn madness. Jim, let me tell you something, bro. This Bonnie team is fantastic, and they still could play another year together. That motion offense that they're running, that off-ball movement is glorious. It's beautiful. And you know what? They are not in a rush to do anything. They are going to frustrate you. They are going to make you guard for 25 seconds, and then they're going to hit a shot. It's Bonnie time, bro. It's Bonnie time. And you know what? That man-to-man defense, it's good. They don't have to go to the matchup zone if they don't have to. Because you know why? They just have to compact the paint around Oshuni, and they're good. Because as long as Oshuni stays on the floor, stays out of foul trouble, Bonnie's going to win this game. Bonnie's have gotten hot from three. You have a triple-headed monster of Jaron Holmes, Dom Welsh, and Kyle Lofton. All you needed was that connecting piece. You freaking poached the guy from the University of Miami, Ohio, in Jalen Attaway, and he fits goddamn perfectly into what we do at freaking St. Bonaventure. I think that when you look at LSU, listen, it's undeniable. They got good point guard play with Javonte Smart. They got a ton of shooters, and they're very good in one-on-one situations, which I think they're going to have a lot of against Bonaventure based on the defense that they're going to be playing. I think that with the Bonnies, they got to dictate the tempo. That's definitely going to be key. Playing that half-court defense and being able to stop these shooters that are very good in these one-on-one situations is going to determine what happens, whether or not I am crying or whether or not I am punching the air like I'm Rocky or Mike Tyson. All I can tell you right now is this is like white chicken meat and potatoes. It's time to eat. It's Bonnie's time. All right? First half defense. They're only allowing 23 points per half. If they can maintain that, I think that they're going to be on their way to a win. I think that by the numbers, they're +3 in the first half. The 3-point defense has been fantastic with only 5 makes allowed, under 30%. They get those loose balls. They don't allow those easy second chance opportunities. And with their ball distribution from Kyle Lofton, every guard in this freaking backcourt can pass the ball and make a pretty play. I like them way more at 3 for the show, but it's Bonnie money line time, It's win or die, and we're gonna be cooking up some LSU Tiger. And if anybody's got a problem with that, you're my enemy. You're my enemy.
The best money line I can get you is at Bet365 at +110.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it's +106, +105, or +100 at the other.
Well, that just means they're afraid. They're afraid, Jim, and they should be. So I'll take that +110, and we'll roll.
The Bonnies at +110, available at Bet365.
It is worth noting, though, that I will be on the Bonnies first half money line, full game money line, first half spread, full game spread, and then probably hit them a couple other times at some point, at some numbers that I sell a couple points on. So I'm going at least $1,000 maybe a grand or two deep just on this game.
Oh, no, that was a first half money line. They're plus 105. Jesus, they're plus 105. My fault. Damn it, I can't get you that plus 110.
Jim, you're breaking a small percentage of my heart right now.
I'm sorry.
You know what? Like, what are these bookies trying to do? Not one of them sponsored the show. First off, that's a problem. And now they're trying to chintz us on these lines?
Plus 106 at FanDuel is the best I can get you.
Man, like, just despicable, Jim, despicable. These guys that couldn't bet professionally, so they wanted to go to the other side of the freaking counter. I'm heated, bro.
St. Bonaventure Bonnies plus 106 at FanDuel. Man, do I wish I could watch this game sitting right beside you. Now, next up in the East region is the winner of Texas Southern Tigers and Mount St. Mary's against Michigan. We're not going to break that game down until we know who's playing Michigan. That's at 3 p.m. Eastern. So the next game we are breaking down is another fun spot. And I apologize, my baby in the background looking for titty. Number 15 seed Iona Gales, 12-5 on the season, versus number 2 Alabama Crimson Tide, 24-6. We're at Hinkle Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana. Ooh-wee. I love when Max talks about Pitino. Alabama, 17.5-point favorites, and it's dropping. We see 17s on the board, 16.5s on the board. This total opened up at 144, and it is climbing. The highest of totals is at Sports Interaction. That's licensed in Jersey and in Canada at 148. Then we have 147.5s, a couple other 148s. That's where we stand market-wide. Pitino's Iona Gales won 6 straight games to close out the season, culminating in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference title. In the final, Iona defeated Fairfield behind Asante Gist's 18 points, and Pitino took his record-tying 5th school to the NCAA tourney. It was not easy for him. He got coronavirus. The Gales were forced to stop 4 times this year because of virus issues, and one of them was a 51-day hiatus. Sidelined them longer than any team in the country. So we don't really know how good this team could be. Isaiah Ross leads it, averaging 18.4 points per game. Next is Gist, who's dealing with a lower body injury. He's listed as questionable for Saturday's game. We expect him to play from what I've read, but he's listed as questionable, averaging 13.3 points per game. Rounding out the double-digit scores, 6'9" Nigerian freshman Nelly Jr. Joseph, who averages 11.4 points, 7.6 boards. The Gales score 72.2 points per game, turn the ball over too much at 15.6 a game, hit 44.5% from the stripe. From the field, 35.5% from 3 and 74.3 from the stripe. Alabama got better and better as the season went on. They finished the season off with their 16th straight victory. Sixth. With their 6th straight victory in the SEC Championship, 80-79 over LSU. They hadn't made it to the SEC Championship since 2002. Winners of the football championship and the basketball championship in the SEC. Herbert Jones, both the SEC Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year, finished with 13 points, 11 boards. On the season, he averaged 11.2 points, 6.5 boards, 3.4 assists. Leading scorer Jaden Shackelford led Alabama with 21 points. On the season, he averaged 14.2 points. Javon Quinterly scored 14 in that final game. He averaged 12.7 on the season. The run to the championship didn't come without consequences. They lost guard Joshua Primo to a knee injury. Keon Ellis came in and looked very good. He scored 14 points in that final. Alabama scores 79.6 points per game, hits 43.1% from the field, 35.1% from 3, and 72% from the foul line. Here we go, Max. Iona, Alabama, 15 seed, 2 seed. Can't wait to hear this breakdown.
Listen, Jim, I'm going to start this off by saying I know some inside information. I know this stripper that used to work at For Your Eyes Only, which is no longer open, which is sad.
Yeah.
And her name is Mandy, the doctor stripper. So Dr. Mandy told me that the quality of sex workers that Coach Pitino has been producing for his Iona Gales have been what I would call 3-star. And I think that it's a mistake to dumb down the quality, lower that quality in such an important situation. Fluids need to be extracted, and you can't have the buildup in the frickin' pipes. So I think that Iona definitely is going to be challenged early. I think that even though they have this very successful pick and roll offense that predicates itself on definitely getting Asante Gis and Isaiah Ross the ball in good spots. Well, I think that the roller in Nelly Jr. Joseph is going to be even more important, even Dylan Van Eyck. So I think that with Iona, they do like to apply a lot of ball pressure, but with that ball pressure, they definitely want to be able to switch as well. And I don't think they're going to be able to do that against Alabama. I don't think they're going to be able to overplay the offensive glass against a team that is so good in transition. Listen, in the MAC conference in Metro Atlantic, yeah, you're able to do that. You're able to do that against teams that don't run well and don't run on you. Well, Alabama's not that type of team. And if you try and do what's been so successful on offense and on defense, I just don't think you're going to be successful against Alabama. Listen, Alabama needs to hit threes. They are definitely at best when they can drive and kick and hit those threes. But if you've been watching John Petty, the guy just has not been doing his job when it comes to it. He's been more of a liability. Every time that I see him shoot the basketball, I'm like, yeah, if he's going to shoot the ball a lot, I'm getting on live unders. I'm hitting live unders. Well, I think that John Petty's going to keep on shooting the basketball, and I just don't have faith in him being able to hit threes. I think that while Alabama is going to still drive and kick a lot, those drives are going to turn into layups because with Javon Quinterly and his handle, that's a dangerous guy to be messing with. We're seeing why he was so highly touted coming into the D1 level, and I think that he's going to have a big game for Alabama, and he's going to. I think that with Alabama, Herb Jones is the key piece. We saw a lot of ISO, a lot of freaking ball screens, a lot of clear outs for him, and I think we're going to continue to see that. This Alabama team just has to be able to defend without needing that help defender to come over. They got to harass the ball handlers for Iona because they are sturdy with the ball, and they got to limit their fouls. With Alabama, you also got to limit the post touches that Iona's going to try to get Nelly Jr. Joseph. You got to stop the driving of Berg Jean-Louis. And, of course, with Ross, it's just a matter of can you go over screens without fouling? I'm interested to see how these guys go up. I think that the first half defense is going to be key. It's going to tell you a lot. I think that Alabama is going to be in their best situation if they can get up close to 40 and hold Iona to like 32 to 35. And you got to just continue this streak of making good second half adjustments and coming out with fury that first 3 to 4 minutes of the second half. Alabama's done a fantastic job of doing that. And I just want to see also how much Iona's defensive numbers are going to rise when they're playing an opponent with the quality and offensive abilities of Alabama. I think that Alabama is going to win this game. I think Alabama is going to be able to win this game early. I just don't see Iona being able to stay in it, even if they're hitting shots for a while. I think eventually they wear down and you see that depth get tested, and that's Iona's biggest hurdle in this game, if they start to pick up fouls. So it's a bad matchup, in my opinion. I think that Nate Oates is going to wear that really sharp, snazzy Crimson Tide sports coat, and Alabama's going to win the game. What I'm going to do as far as my show pick is I'm going to go against the number. I think that with this total, I'm looking more at Alabama. So when I look at my lines, Jim, and I'm just pulling them up, I have this game lined at 145.5. So I'm going to take the under in the game. I think that Iona, while on paper they should be able to score against Alabama's defense, what have I said over and over again? What does Alabama want to be? The best defensive team in the nation. What were they not in the SEC championship? The best defensive team in the nation. They let up 79 points. I don't think that Iona is getting anywhere close to that. So it just screams to me route under. But I like the under for number value better, and that's what we're going to make an official show pick.
Well, let's see if we can get you some nice here to work with. We have a 147.5 under at minus 105. We have 146.5. That's not what we're looking for. Let's see if Circa can come in and help us. 148.5. Wow, 2 points higher at Circa. Wild. 148.5. And let's see if Foxbet wants anything to do. 147.5. Wow, under 148.5 at minus 110 for you, Max?
Yeah, that works for me fine, Jim. It's a much better number than I bet.
Under 148.5 minus 110 at Circa Sports. Wow, that was fascinating. We move on. This is the game where I want to talk as little as possible and just let Max roll. 7:10 p.m. Eastern. The number 10 seed Maryland Terrapins, 16-13 on the season versus the UConn Huskies, 15-7 on the season. Mackey Arena, West Lafayette, Indiana. Ooh, wee. UConn opening up as 2-point favorites. Just 2.5s come on the board. Now 3s are on the board. This total opened up at 131. It's now at 130. Maryland was riding a 5-game winning streak through mid-February, performing poorly in losses. They were riding a 5-game winning streak through mid-February before performing poorly in losses to Northwestern and Penn State to close out the regular season. They were decent-sized favorites in both. They came to play in their first game in the Big Ten tournament. Leading scorer Eric Ayala scored 21 points to help them knock out Michigan State. They followed it up with a 79-66 loss to Michigan in the quarters, where they were again led by Ayala's 19 points. He averages 14.9 on the season, followed closely by Aaron Wiggins, 14. The other Terp that averages double digits, sophomore Donta Skjodt, who averages 10.9 points, 6.1 boards, and hits 43.4% from three. Dante Scott, excuse me. Maryland scores 68.8 points per game, plays clean ball, only turning the ball over 11.2 times a game, hit 45.6 from the field, 35.3 from three, 70.2 from the foul line. UConn was on a 5-game winning streak when they were stopped in the Big East semifinal 59-56 by Creighton. UConn was badly out-rebounded in the game, 50-33. They allowed the Blue Jays to get 17 offensive boards. During the game, point guard and second leading scorer RJ Cole smashed his face on the hardwood. He's on the injury report as questionable with a concussion. Max will tell us all about that, whether he's good to go. He averages 12.3 points, 4.4 assists, hits 38.3% from three, and very important. But the Huskies are led by sophomore James Bouknight, averages 19 points, 5.7 boards. Defensively, the Huskies were tied for 35th in the nation, allowing just 64.6 points per game. That number improved on the road, and that's a rare stat, seeing a team's defense get better on the road. That number.
Jim, I don't mean to interrupt you, but that's not a rare stat. That's a UConn tradition.
I mean, rare in the eyes of other teams.
Yeah, of course. Other teams, they can't do that. We're UConn. We're the best.
They allowed just 61.9 points per game on the road. They scored 72.5 points per game, hit 43.9% from the field, 33.6% from three, and 73.1% from the line. Max, we've been waiting all week for this. Break it down for us. Maryland, UConn.
Jim, I'm not trying to be a dick, but I lined this game at 7.5. So we're taking UConn. We're taking UConn for 2 units, Jim. We're doing it twice. We're doubling up. And if you don't let me, I'm going to have a tantrum on the show like one of your children. Okay? We're taking UConn times 2. All right? You know what? Let's not even beat around the bush. The number has value. The number has a ton of value. All right? With Bouknight, it's 30-point game time, baby. It's 30-point game time. We may not have RJ Cole. He may not be able to play with a concussion. We are going to see closer to game time. But I'm capping the game like he's not there. And that's where Jalen Gaffney is going to be able to step up. When you watch this Jalen Gaffney, what does he do? He is a beast when it comes to ball screen defense. And you're going to see some ball screens from Maryland. I think that with Tyrese Martin, with Bouknight, they are going to be able to score enough. They're going to be able to grind it out. They're going to play ugly. And the more that they can muck this game up, the better they're going to be. This is a UConn team with elite, and I say elite, half-court defense, and they are goddamn road warriors. You know what? I love their fight. I love their grit. They know what's at stake. They came up short against a matchup that was bad. Creighton was the worst matchup that they could have gotten, and they had to go up and listen. They could have won that game, I'm not making excuses for them. They didn't execute at key times, and I do not think we're going to see a repeat of that. They are aware. They are hungry. They are going to feed. And the Maryland Terrapins are in their goddamn way, and we're going to freaking steamroll them. All right? With UConn, listen, Maryland lacks size, so you're going to be able to beat them on the glass. You got to close out on three-point shooters. These off-ball screens, that's how they're getting them, you know. You got to play big. And against a team like Maryland, what have they had to do all year? Play against bigger teams. So this could be an advantage for Maryland playing against the size of UConn. But UConn can go small. UConn has versatility. UConn has depth. And the emergence and the development of Adama Sanogo has been fantastic. His offense is coming around. And I just think that whether Maryland is trying to press UConn or trying to run that 3-2 zone, it isn't going to matter. UConn is going to dominate defensively in the first half, where I think that they have at least a 4.5-point advantage. I think that if they can hold Maryland to 25 or less, they are going to be able to maintain the second half, because they are one of the rare teams that get stronger as the game goes on. The coaching is that elite at UConn. And everybody's knocking them at the free throw line, but you look at the box scores, you freaking add them up, and you average that shit out, 81% over the last 5 games. So you're taking away one of the biggest minuses on this team from earlier on in the season. And I just think UConn's going to crush on the glass. They're going to win the turnover battle. And when you're a neutral court road warrior like a UConn Husky, you haven't been in this tournament in a while. It's time to make your mark. And the Terrapins, they're in our way, and they're not going to like what they get. Sign me up with UConn. 2 units. Full game spread.
If you want 2 units, you can go first half full game.
Jim, I'll take the spread, and then I'll take damn. I can't take the money line.
No, you can't. Too much juice.
Okay, fine. First half spread and full game spread. Let's go.
All right. You get -2.5 and -110. That's available at FanDuel and Bet365 for the full game. And let's see what we can get them for first half. All right. Here we go. So we have a -1.5 and -110 at 365. At FanDuel, we have -1.5 and -110 as well. Bet MGM, they are hanging I'm moving quick as I can. Same thing, -1.5 and -110. Can Circa help out here? And same thing, -1.5, -110. Okay, so let's just try one last look at Fox Bet. And Fox Bet isn't giving us spreads for first half, so we know that. Okay, so first half, -1.5 and -110. Full game, -2 and -110. So we'll give them the FanDuel both. Okay. That was a lot of fun. I hope that it's UConn, Alabama in the second round, and I get to watch this one more time.
Jim, if it's not UConn, Alabama, you may have to put out a freaking a reward for someone finding me crying in a corner with a shower on. Yeah, it won't be pretty.
I don't know who to go to. I'll go to the doctor stripper. And
hey, listen, Dr. Mandy, she's always in communication with me, you know, whether I have a bad dream or I had a dream about her or I want to see her, you know, always willing to answer and pick up the phone to a loyal and devoted client.
She needs a TV show.
Well, she needs more than that. A topless TV show.
The next spot on the card, 9:40 p.m. Eastern, is the winner of the UCLA Michigan play-in versus BYU. We will cap that game when we know who's playing BYU. So we move on to the final game in the East region, 9:50 p.m. Eastern here on Saturday night. This is another very interesting spot. 9:50 p.m. Eastern. Abilene Christian Wildcats 23-4 versus Texas Longhorns 19-7. We're at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. Here we go. Texas opening up as 8.5-point favorites. That's moved to 9. This total opened up at 140. We have 140 halves, 140 and a halves, and 141s on the board. Abilene Christian closed the season winning 12 of 13 games on their way to winning the Southland Championship. They completely dominated in the Southland tournament. They beat Lamar 93-71 in the semis before crushing Nicholls State 79-45 in the final. They outscored Nicholls 43-14 in the second half. Abilene is led in scoring by their 7-foot, 240-pound center Colton Cole, who averages 12.3 points, 4.8 rebounds, and suspiciously plays 18.9 minutes a game. Next in scoring is Joe Pleasant, who averages 10.8 points, 5.4 boards, and hits 47.5% from 3. Rounding out the double-digit scorers is Corian Mason, who averages 10.7 points. As a team, they score 77.6 points per game, hit 46% from the field, 35.3 from 3, and 67.3 from the foul line. Texas closed out their season winning 5 straight games en route to their first Big 12 championship. They're starting to hit their stride, and we're seeing this with a few different teams who went through this. So Texas played just 6 games in 35 days due to positive COVID tests in January and February. All 7 of the Longhorn losses this season came against teams that were ranked at the time. In a thrilling final, they outlasted Oklahoma State 91-86. I think getting to skip Kansas helped them enormously, and they were much fresher against Oklahoma State. And I think that's the reason why they won. It's the reason why I didn't bet Oklahoma State. Led by Matt Coleman's career-high 30 points. He averages 13.3 points, 4.1 assists on the season. Jericho Sims, 21 points. That's a career best for him to go with 14 boards. He averages 9.2 points, 7.1 boards on the campaign. They were led this year in scoring by Andrew Jones, who averages 14.6 points per game. And they also have Courtney Ramey, who averages 12.6 points, 4.0 assists, and it's 42% from 3. As a team, they average 75.2 points per game, hit 45.4% from the field, 35.6 from 3, and 70.8 from the stripe max. Saturday night, there's a game 7 minutes after this in a different region, but this is the second to last game in the first round of the NCAA tourney of March Madness, and we are going to want to bet it. Is there a move we should make? Is there a move that you are making? Take it away, Abilene Christian, Texas.
Yeah, listen, Jim, with this Texas-Abilene game, Abilene has a very undersized starting backcourt where the tallest guy is 6 foot. That's going to be a problem against the athleticism, the pick and roll, and the isolation ability of Texas. When you look at the front court, even though Colton Cole is such a good passing big man, he's really good at passing out of the block, and this team really does score a lot of points on ball screens, I just don't understand why this line is where it's at. I think that when you look at this game and you look at this line, I would have had this definitely double digits for Texas. I would have probably had them closer to 12 or 13, not under double digits, because with this Abilene team, outside of Colton Cole and Joe Pleasant, I don't really think that they have any usable size. I think that there is definitely a lot of different pieces, interchangeable pieces off the bench with experience like Mackay Morris or freaking Clay Gaiman, but I'm just not sold. I think that definitely this Abilene team has to hit threes. They got multiple 40% three-point shooters. This is a team that definitely does a good job of converting free throws for the most part, but when you look at the size that Texas is going to bring into this game, it's just hard to deal with. And I think that when they're at their best is actually when they are doing a lot of switching on D, disrupting some of the paint action that Colton Cole is going to be trying to create. And I think that the difference maker is nobody that we're going to regularly talk about. I think that the difference maker for this team is Brock Cunningham. When you look at Brock Cunningham, he's a difference maker on defense. He's been able to really make an impact when Greg Brown has been ailing. Greg Brown does a good job of drawing fouls, but he commits enough to elicit a foul out. I think that with Cunningham, they're at their best on defense. I think that they have to really get aggressive in the first half and try and get to that 40-point mark. And listen, both these teams are good in first half, so it's hard for me to decide where I want to go. I think that I would lean towards Abilene being able to surprise Texas for 20 minutes. But at the end of the day, Andrew Jones, Courtney Ramey, and freaking Matt Coleman, those guys off the dribble in isolation with the shot clock down and their decision making, we've seen it way too much already this year. It's too good. This is a big step up for Abilene. I think that if Abilene's able to do just a decent job of being able to stay competitive on the glass and sharing the ball and forcing turnovers, are going to have a chance. But this is a big step up. And the only way that I can play it right now for the great Oz.com audience is just to start with a first half over. I think that's the best play for me right now and the best value that I have based on my numbers. And let's see what you can get me, Jim, because with this Abilene team, they are definitely stingy, but they are playing a style of opponent that really can put them down in the dirt early. But I think there's going to be offense. It's tournament basketball.
Let's see what I can get you here, Max. Very interesting breakdown. So we'll start with a 66.5 minus 110 each way. That comes to us from Circa. So that was the best. FoxBet didn't give us a total for first half. Let's see what BetMGM is going to give us here. We are going to get and here we get 65.5. Okay. So that is the new leader at BetMGM with a 65.5. Can FanDuel help us out here? And let me see if I can get it. FanDuel, Texas. So we're 65.5 is the best so far. Here we have a first half total of 66. So 65.5 will be it. We'll give Bet365 a shot. And I don't expect them to be able to beat it. 66 as well. So the best over we can give you is the 65.5 at BetMGM. I like this look. First half over 65.5.
Jim, I like it also, but I like also something better. You hit your Anaheim Ducks first period, baby. Plus 190. Yeah, boy.
Yeah. That's my only bet of the day, too.
Beautiful. Beautiful win.
Yeah, my palm's just leaking.
Nice.
As soon as you mentioned it, I just started just glistening. How much fun is this, man? Okay, first half over 65.5 at minus 110. That's available at BetMGM. And that is it for the East region. And our expert, Maxwell Smart, has now capped 32 games for us in depth in the last 48 hours. What a treat it is to roll with you, Max. I'm just going to review your East region action to make sure that we have everything on the same page. Mount St. Mary's plus 100 to open up Thursday's action. Then you're off UCLA, Michigan. Then you have Georgetown plus 5.5 at minus 110 full game, and the first half money line at plus 167. That's an exciting bet. Then you go back to the first half, but you're taking the 6 points for the Greensboro Spartans at minus 110 against Florida State. Then you have the St. Bonnie's plus 106 at FanDuel. Man, I can't wait to watch that game. Then we have the under 148.5 at minus 110 in Iona, Alabama. We move on to UConn, first half minus 1.5 at minus 110, full game minus 2.5 at minus 110, and we would not let him make a 2-unit bet, which after it's the first time he's asked that. Took 500 bets. And then we have the first half over 65.5 with Abilene, Texas Longhorns. Does that all sound right?
Yes, sir.
Max, what a spectacular job. Those of you joining us and supporting us, thank you so much. We are going to have live shows coming up. More Maxwell Smart. He's had a simply spectacular year and can't wait to watch him attack the tournament with us. We are thankful and fortunate to roll with you, Maxwell. Do you have any last words for the great cappers supporting the show?
Yeah, listen, guys, it's March Madness time. This is the best time of year. If you're a sports fan, this is a fan. This is a sport to be a fan of. Listen, I don't want to start knocking on people's doors and freaking trying to tell them to stay off my grass, but stay the hell off my goddamn grass. Don't be walking on this shit. Don't be walking your dog on that shit. And listen, if I see you do it, I got a handy potato that's always close. I will throw it out the window, and I'm an expert softball player in the outfield. I will hit you in the head with it. Don't mess around with the potato throws.
God. Respect. On behalf of Maxwell, myself, and everybody, odds.com, thank you for supporting us. Thank you for watching. And let's get paid in full. It's March Madness.